What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Duftonbond and we are back with another video. The new update dropped yesterday. Things are crazy. So much has changed. New replay system, TV Royale, all this stuff. I like a new clan badge for orange juice. It fits pretty perfectly. But I was lucky enough to get a super magical chest as well as a magical chest yesterday, which is crazy. I don't know how that happened. And I also hit 3,300 trophies, which for me is a big accomplishment because I was stuck at that 3,000 trophy level for so long, not wanting to climb higher for fear that I'd drop out of Legendary Arena. But now I've kind of solidified my spot up here, which is definitely very nice. So the deck I'm using right now is definitely one of the strongest out there. And it uses the Royal Giant, which right now people think is one of the most OP cards in the game. I wouldn't call it OP, but it is definitely extremely powerful and makes for a great deck. And I think it's such a fun card to run just because it's unique tower destroying mechanic and just the way that it interacts. It's really a fun card to use. So I'm going to show the deck that I've been using so much. It's on the screen to the left as well as right here. I've been deck testing a lot. I think that all the cards, the Inferno, Freeze, Ice Wizard, Spear Goblins, Baby Drag, Arrows, and Royal Giant are kind of like sticking in my deck. They aren't really going to change too much. I might put in the Tesla for the Inferno, but we'll see. But the main card that I've been working with is that 8th card, which right now is the Zap for me. I started off having the balloon in, which I thought with the Royal Giant tanking and people running a lot more ground units like Barbarians and stuff to counter the Royal Giant as well as Sparky and the different units like that. Balloon has been pretty effective at being able to get to the towers, but it wasn't being used as much as it should have been in my deck, and so I thought it was beneficial to take it out and add another defensive unit or spell. So I tried the Valkyrie, I tried Archers, I tried Mini P.E.K.K.A, I tried loads of different combinations, but the deck that I lost to most were decks that would cycle through their small minions and keep throwing out those minion hordes, or throw out Princess and then minion horde, and my Baby Dragon and Ice Wizard sometimes just weren't enough to take it down. So by putting in Zap, it's become an amazing card on the offense to clear the small minions that attack my Royal Giant, as well as on the defense when they play minion horde, it allows me to arrow their Princess and then zap their minion horde or zap their hog goblin push or anything like that. So this deck is amazing and I would highly recommend you try it out. I'm going to hop into some replays and just show off its strength. Some of them might be with the balloon, some of them might be with the zap, but it can be easily seen that this type of deck is awesome to use, and it's really up to a bit of your own variation, but there are many good combos that work. So we're going to hop into a replay and I'll show you the deck. Okay, so we're hopping into this first replay here. I'm against a level 9 with pretty similar level troops. So right now it's mainly just starting on the defense. Unfortunately we didn't get the Royal Giant. And I held on to 10 Elixir for a bit too long. But the Inferno Tower is just a great way to stop this push. And then Ice Wizard slows everything down. So even though the Giant Skeleton got to my Inferno, it wasn't too big of a deal because we still came out with a bit of an Elixir advantage and just got that Ice Wizard to get off that little single hit onto his tower. So now we're slow pushing with the Baby Dragon and then putting the Royal Giant behind. This is great just because if they play like a minion horde or anything else that it's pretty easy for my Baby Dragon just to kill it off with Flash, and then those Spear Goblins in the back behind the Royal Giant allowed it to get off some pretty good damage and stop his push. So right now we're at the same Elixir and I got off that nice Royal Giant push. So that was definitely a great trade. And we're going to slow it down. Since we have 3 defensive cards in our hand and the Ice Wizard, we'll play that, and then when the princess gets closer, we can throw out our arrows as well. And the arrows actually clip the end of that Dark Prince's shield, so one auto attack from the Ice Wizard will be able to destroy it, and we can quickly take it out. Now that I've got a pretty good push going, it's a good time to play that Royal Giant and let it take out the Elixir Collector. Since he's kind of using the Elixir Collector as defense, it means that once my Royal Giant takes it out, that's like a 6 Elixir for 5 Elixir trade, and it makes the Royal Giant very Elixir efficient, whereas otherwise it could be seen to, like, not to be, because 6 Elixir is a lot of investment for a card that only does damage to towers. Oh. Shoot, my replay just glitched out there a little bit. But I arrowed his princess, and now I'm using the Ice Wizard and Baby Dragon to stop this Dark Prince push, which we'll easily be able to take out. And then I'm going to play the Elixir Collector, or the Inferno Tower, I think, to stop that Baby Dragon Giant Skeleton push. And unfortunately, I play the the Royal Giant a bit early, and so it gets clipped by the end of the Giant Skeleton Bomb. But nevertheless, it was still a good trade, and now we just have to stop this push with our Ice Wizard and Baby Dragon. Or I guess just Baby Dragon. And then take out those princesses, because they'll become quite a nuisance. But now that it's overtime, it doesn't really matter. That princess on the left isn't going to do much, since it's going to take her so long to be able to get our tower. And now once we get that Royal Giant onto his tower, hopefully it'll be able to get the win. And then we zap there to reset the Dark Prince's auto attack, so that the Royal Giant can get off that last hit, which takes the game. So that's why I think the zap is such a strong card, is because when he played the Minion Horde, it was great to defend against that, as well as those clutch situations where that zap will give you that one last auto attack that can win you the game. So I thought we'd hop into another replay against a guy using the Sparky, which some people have thought to be a pretty strong card. It definitely has so many counters, but I thought that this replay shows just how good this deck does against some of those new cards. So let's hop into that. Okay, so we're hopping into this replay against a level 10 with level 10 commons and like level 2 princess, only a level 1 Sparky, so not like the strongest like legendary that you could have, but it's still the same level as all my legendaries. And so I see the push, and I'm trying to figure out a good way to counter it, considering this is the first time I've actually ever seen it in game. So that Ice Wizard does a great job of countering the Barbarians, and luckily Sparky uses his hit on the Ice Wizard as soon as it's about to die, so it really doesn't do much. And then I use the zap there in order to reset Sparky's auto attack, which is the best way of countering Sparky, is to use zap, because that extra 5 seconds that it can't auto attack can be so important. And I know that I didn't wait long enough to, like, until it was about to shoot before zapping it, but I just wanted to get rid of the Spear Goblins, and it still was an effective way of dealing with countering the Sparky. So right there, he plays the Sparkies and does like another slow push to get to my tower, which means that my Royal Giant can just freely hit on it. And I didn't want to play the Baby Drag too early, because usually when you're playing against someone who's higher level, you don't want to overextend too much. So I throw that zap there to reset his auto attack, and then those Spear Goblins would tank a hit of the Sparky if it was to go off. But luckily they destroy it quick enough that it can't even get off an auto attack. So this guy isn't really using his combo to the best. You really need a strong tank in front of the Sparky. Like, it doesn't act as a tank. And so it becomes quite hard to to let it get to my tower if there's nothing that's blocking damage and cards that can take out my elixir. So now that I've got this massive, like 12 elixir push, it was easy to take out that tower, and the Sparky can't properly deal with my Royal Giant. It'll still tank up 2 hits. And so now we're just going to try and do a slow push in order to defend against Sparky. So we put down the baby dragon, and now we're going to zap to reset that auto attack again. And then use those spear goblins just to distract in case it's able to get off a hit, just so that it doesn't touch our tower, because it can almost take down our tower entirely if it was to get off an auto attack. And that's pretty much the game. So you can see how strong the zap is having in the deck, because it counters a lot of those difficult cards to counter, like Minion Horde without arrows, or Sparky, or just any of like the cog goblin pushes that otherwise can get a lot of damage done on your tower. Even princes, I love using zap to reset the prince's charge, just because sometimes you don't have the right amount of elixir to defend, and that double damage that it does on that first strike can be game changing in terms of how much damage it does to your tower. So I'm going to hop into one final replay, and hopefully you guys will try out this deck, because it is so much fun. It's so strong, and it like does have a good counter against this deck as well, being in the Inferno as well as the freeze card. The freeze Inferno can shut down the entire Royal Giant push, and it's very strong. So I'll hop into a replay against a Royal Giant user, and I'll just show you how good this like deck is. Okay, so we're hopping into this replay, and I paused it just for a second because this replay came from before I was using Zap, and I was still using Balloon, but it's another variation of the deck that's still very strong, and you can see which one works for you, and depending on the cards you play against, it can be more beneficial to have that Balloon in there. But let's hop into the replay, and I'll explain my thinking behind this game. So, like at the beginning, you don't want to do anything too aggressive. Like playing the Royal Giant off the bat generally isn't a good idea, because they definitely have the elixir to be able to counter it, or do a strong counter push on the other side. So by playing those Spear Goblins there, I quickly get a gauge of what types of cards he's going to play. And there it's beneficial to throw out the arrows, keeping a positive elixir trade and making sure that the Valkyrie doesn't get any damage onto our tower. And that was a good play on his part, and I played the Inferno Tower way too early before the Royal Giant can get there, and so he can take it out very quickly and then do some damage onto our tower. So that was a big misplay on my part. I didn't know that he had the Royal Giant, but it's still, I should have waited and just seen what types of cards he was playing before I made such a aggressive Inferno Tower play. And he's playing very well, using his tanky ground units to just tank while his tower destroys my cards. And so right now I'm kind of at the point where I'm getting outplayed. But now that I've got this Royal Giant down, I know that I've got a strong push that's building, and he doesn't really have any cards at the moment that are doing anything to counter the push. So I throw out those arrows there, and he plays the cannon in the back, which my Royal Giant quickly takes out. And then my Balloon unfortunately doesn't get to his tower, so it wasn't that effective as a push, especially because his Royal Giant got a lot of damage onto our tower. So right now, we're just playing it slow, trying to figure out what's the best way to get damage onto his tower without taking too much damage onto ours. And so that baby dragon was awesome. It killed his minions very quickly, and now I got a ton of damage onto his tower, and we're about equal. Was before there was a pretty big difference in our tower damage. So this is how you're supposed to use the Infernos. Wait until the Royal Giant gets onto your side, and then the Inferno can quickly take out like the card, as well as have a bit more life to take out whatever push was behind the card. So again, my balloon gets stopped, which is one of the reasons why I took it out of the deck, was because it's pretty easy to stop, especially when the majority of my damage is supposed to come from the Royal Giant. It just felt like it wasn't necessary to have in the deck. And right here, to avoid taking a lot of damage, I throw out the freeze spell, and then I throw out the arrows right at the end in order to cycle and just pull off the victory, since his tower was so low. But as you can see, the Inferno is a very strong counter to the Royal Giant, but the card just is so strong. As you can see, the Royal Giant is a very strong card, but it's like a more expensive Hog Rider, and in that way it has a lot of counters. Using only troops, you can quickly take it out with high damage dealing cards like Musketeer and Mini P.E.K.K.A. and then make a strong counter push when they're low on elixir. So in that way, the card does have its counters, and people still just have to figure out what's the best way to take it out. But in my opinion, Inferno Tower and Tesla are still the ways to go. If you don't know why Tesla is so strong against it, is because the Tesla won't pop up until it's in range of the Royal Giant. So you can place it before you see the Royal Giant, and then it still won't be able to take out the card until it's in range of the Tesla and the Tesla's doing damage to it. So I'm not sure which one's better yet, but I'm sticking with the Inferno Tower. It's been the one that's climbed me the most trophies. And I just highly recommend you try out this deck. It's important to learn the weaknesses to a card by playing it. That's my advice, just because it does have good weaknesses. But this deck right now is so strong, and the Royal Giant is just the most fun card to play around with. So until next time, once these chests are open, we will check it out, open them up. But it's been your boy Duftonbond, and I'm out.